Today's episode is two-fisted. I've got two of the co-hosts of the Sean Geek podcast. I got Voicesbytracy, and I've got Todd Fastfretfingers, both discussing the same topic in two separate podcasts that I've decided to join together. So we're going to get the perspective from both of these wonderful co-hosts. We're going to talk about the replacement of members in bands and the integrity of the band. Is it maintained when someone leaves? Is it the same band? And can they still retain titling of the band despite legal documents that say otherwise? We're going to cover a whole bunch of examples, such as the Bulletboys, Great White, Kiss, Ratt, and other such bands. We're going to discuss how they get it all done. And then we're going to round the whole conversation out with a discussion of how Ringo Starr goes about doing the same thing. Cue the music.
Well, hello there, my fine friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Ah, awesome. What the hell?
This is Paul Stanley.
I was just about to break out a 70s reference from Different Strokes. Like, what you talk about, Willis?
I can't maintain Paul Stanley for more than 10 seconds.
That's hilarious. It's all good.
I
You
was
be
like-
you, and Paul will be Paul.
I'm like, how do I do a Queens accent? Like, from Queens.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah, no. He does have a particular speech, dialect from Queens, yes.
Yep.
But, yeah. But, I mean, with all the Botox he's had, I don't know if he can properly... Oh, my God.
That's so rude. I love it.
Saucer of milk, table for one. That's okay. He's laughing all the way to the freaking bank.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. He's got a probably 22-year-old bimbo on his, I was just going to say his nightstand, but maybe she's flexible that way. Anywho, I'll just say that.
You're just on fire today.
I know, because it's a 4-day weekend for me.
Oh, I was wondering if it was 4 or if you had alternate days off.
Yeah, no, 4 days, baby. So, yeah, they're going to have to retrain me when I go back to work on Tuesday.
Oh, God.
God willing.
Well, that's if he comes back, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's it, exactly.
Oh, that's not good either.
No.
We better stop while we're ahead.
Exactly. So, yes. So, I understand that we have a particular topic that we want to discuss today.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to listen to it at all?
No, I did not. I've been running around like a mad person, but I figured that, you would cover the market with that, and then I would put in my little, uneducated 2 cents worth. But, so basically, what did I send you?
What did you send me?
Yes.
Well, you sent me that
Yes.
So what you had said
that
was
precipitated this discussion.
Yeah. So Bulletboys, the band that made famous from whatever the 90s, I guess it was, at the tail end of the
late
metal.
80s. Yeah, exactly.
They kind of they put their first album out at the tail end of it, and then by this time of their second album, grunge was already kind of coming in and taking out the hair bands one by one. So, anyways, they have a new album that just came out last week.
I think so, yeah.
I think it was last week. And
From Out of the Skies.
From Out of the Skies, the only original member of the band is Mark Torian, or Torkian, or he spells his first name different a bunch of times and the last name different.
Yeah, I know.
But still the same singer, but he's also the lead guitar player now as well.
interesting.
Because he was originally, he's a multi-instrumentalist. He plays everything.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so they've released a new album, and then your comment was, is it still Bulletboys if none of the original members are there except for one?
Well,
something along
that's
those lines.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, if he's not in the band anymore, like, and you know, it just kind of precipitated the discussion, like, about, you know, how bands. I said I wrote without Mark this time, and you said Mark was the only original member, and then I said, well, how come they're able to call themselves Bulletboys if none of the original members are left?
Yes.
And then I went on to talk about, you know, all of these other bands that that have split with their lead singer. And I mean, I just, you know, rattled off from the top, like Queensryche, Great White, Ratt, that have been like in the, I guess, in the hard rock heavy metal news in the last like 6 years or so.
Those three big time.
Yeah, well, I mean, and this was like, I mean, because you see, at its source, I don't like to deal with drama. I'm like, you know, I hear about he's fighting with this guy and this guy's, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Save your drama for your mama. I'm out. But I mean, but it was interesting because I mean, I kind of had to do my homework and you know, find out, well, why did the front man, the lead singer, get kicked out, or why did he leave? And I mean, it's very interesting stories, each and every one of them. And I mean, just with Queensryche, and I mean, Queensryche, they're like, well, yeah, they didn't even tell him that he wasn't in the band anymore.
Is that the story? I heard the split is ugly as crap, and I don't know if there's like lawsuits back and forth or
there was major lawsuits in the case of Queensryche. There was a lawsuit and then a counter lawsuit, and now the ex-lead singer Jeff Tate is no longer allowed to do any of the content from anything past Operation Mindcrime and Operation Mindcrime 2.
Anything past those two, so he can play up to those, including those?
Exactly. That's from what I understood, what I read about. That's what was explained in the in settlement.
So was that the time that he left the band?
No, he left the band in 2012.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's very recent. I just assumed he hadn't been in the band for, 10, 15 years or whatever.
No. This is quite recent. And yeah, it was, that was a huge thing because this was I was like in the back of my head, I'm like, well, because you've got like, Jeff Tate's, I think he's called Mindcrime, or Operation Mindcrime.
Cool.
Like his kind of new offshoot of whatever, a new band.
Yeah.
And then you've got Jack Russell's Great White, because he's not allowed to use
Great White, but he can call it Jack Russell's Great White.
Russell's Great, yes, exactly.
Weird.
And I mean, just a sidebar. From what I understood, like he had to leave the band because he had like some sort of a medical issue. He had to be in the hospital, and again they were like, you know what, actually none of the band members, and this is like from what I read, actually ever came to visit with him or anything from what I understood. And anyway, so it was just it's very bitter, just very acrimonious. It was just, oh my God, it was horrible. Anyways, and like with Rats, that's just a whole different, that was like a whole Pandora's box open right there.
Is it Bobby Blotzer that owned the name? Or?
Exactly. It was him and Warren DeMartini and anyways.
So who are the camps in Ratt that are separated? So you say, Bobby Blotzer, is he on his own without the rest of the guys, or does he have some of them with him?
No, I think there's a couple of guys with him, and I can't remember exactly the split. That because Stephen Percy, the lead singer for Ratt, has gone off and done something else. Like I think he's doing stuff under the Rat name. And actually, just recently, like this morning, I want to say that there was rumors that he was trying to recruit Jakey Lee into this. I know. And how
he had an association with them early on because
exactly.
They helped him get into Aussie, if I recall, or something.
Yeah, exactly. He was like he had started initially, I think, in Rat. Like he was one of the first guitarists of Rat.
So pre DeMartini, I think.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. Okay. I think it was more DeMartini that brought him in. I'm pretty sure, or vice versa.
Well, DeMartini was brought in because he was like 17 when he joined, or 16 or something like that.
Exactly.
Right. I don't know. They heard about this guy, and he was roommates with somebody or something. Yep. I can't remember.
Anyways, so it's like, I guess it's kind of like a divorce, like, and the fans.
That's my couch.
These are my fans, and you can take these fans, and like my fans love me better, or whatever, or they're gonna love me better than your fans. And it gets kind of ugly, just the whole split. And because I mean, when you first discover a band, you appreciate them for the whole unit and what they are.
You and I do. I don't know if that's universal, but I know you and I, like, when we listen to bands, we pay attention to every member in the band. Well, everyone's contribution. It's a unit. It's not, for a lot of people, it's like it's the singer and nothing else.
Right,
like, they don't
exactly.
Even, the other guys are playing all the music, but I'm not listening to that. I'm just listening to the singer. That's
right.
That's why they still sell tickets, I find.
Well, exactly. And I mean, unfortunately, the lead singer is kind of like the brand. He's kind of like
it's like a mascot, like a face.
Well, that's it, exactly. I mean, as soon as you hear Don Dokken, you know that's Dokken.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, remove like George Lynch, I can still tell George Lynch playing guitar.
He had a distinctive style.
He did.
Nobody plays like him.
Exactly. So I mean, what he went on to do with like Lynch Mob, and I'm trying to think the other bands that he was in, but yes, I mean, there's a distinctive sound to his style of playing.
He had a band with the King's X guys.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Good.
It was
fucking good.
Like a couple of years ago, I want to say.
Yeah, and I think I probably tagged you in the video or something like that.
Yes.
To watch this.
God, I love King's X, man, and that's just too bad that they disbanded and they weren't appreciated enough.
Everyone said they are the best band out there. All the other musicians, like Gene Simmons said, there is no better band out there. Like everyone came forward and praised the crap out of this band, but they just never won the fan base over.
Oh.
Because they were kind of like, they were faith inspired, right? So that kind of hurt them.
Oh, right, yeah, okay. Well, I mean, you're talking about faith inspired. I mean, we're going off on a tangent at this point, but what else is new?
Like,
Tracy going off on a tangent? Wow, big surprise. But I mean, like bands like faith-based bands like Stryper.
Yeah.
I mean, they did pretty well, I think.
They made it work, but they didn't obscure it. They're like, this is what we are, this is what we do. And they were made fun of, but they still sold a shit ton of records.
Right. And anyways,
yes, I own their To Hell with the Devil album.
I could not stand them. Could not. I don't know. I mean, because they looked prettier than me. I mean, okay, most of the 80s hair bands looked prettier than me, but I mean, they took it to the nth level.
They were prettier than everybody, especially them. The Sweet Brothers, Robert and what was the drummer's name?
Steven, I think. Was it Steven?
It might have been,
Yeah. Anyways, so
the drummer was even prettier than the singer. Like, what the?
Yeah. Well, exactly.
You're a drummer. You're not supposed to be pretty. Like, what are you, the front man?
Seriously.
Or like Blas Elias from Slaughter. Like, well, you're too pretty, dude.
Okay, no. But okay, don't be dissing Blas Elias because he was delicious. I'm sorry. I mean, just
I couldn't help but like the guy. I'm like, damn it, you're pretty. I hate you, but I want to hang out.
But you're so pretty.
I just want to hang out with him. He just was so silly and just, I don't know. And he was a good fucking drummer, too.
He was friggin' awesome. Yes, big time. And anyways, another awesome band that went by the wayside. But yeah, actually.
Okay, back on the tangent. So, okay, so with Blotzer from Ratt.
Yes, right.
Bobby Blotzer.
Yes.
True story. Real name.
Yes, got it.
I don't know. I read Stephen Piercy's biography. He actually put a biography out a few years ago. I read it, got it from the library. It's really good. I've got no respect for Stephen Piercy after reading that. But
really?
Oh, he's still a drug addict to this day. And it's the same thing with reading the Anthony Kiedis biography.
Oh, really?
I don't listen to after reading that, I stopped listening to that.
Red Hot Chili Pepper, really?
And after reading the Stephen Piercy, I stopped listening to Ratt. And I still listen to Ratt. I still listen to Ratt until I read the book.
Wow.
Just unapologetic, like I'm a junkie, and I keep going back to it. It wasn't like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of who else. There's a few other biographies I read where, I was a junkie, and then, they actually found their way back, and maybe they've had relapses, but it's a positive ending to the biography. These were not positive endings, like, I'm still a junkie.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, well, that's
well,
the
then
story.
why did you write your book now?
Thanks for buying the book.
Yeah. But anyway, so,
yes.
But Ratt was always a solid band to me. They were better than the scene, better than the hair metal thing. They were solid.
Right. They had a core. They had they were just a good rock band, at its core.
But actual real musicians too. Like they were solid.
Yes.
All get out.
Right. Exactly. Anyways, but it's just, it just goes to you think about the fact that when a frontman leaves or is asked to leave from a band, well then who do you follow? Actually this summer, quote unquote Ratt is coming to heavy MTL, Montreal. And I'm like,
seriously, okay.
And I'm like, well, which version of Ratt?
So I'm curious who's in this version specifically. I'd be really...
Right. Exactly. But
who
anyways,
else is playing on that bill? You're going to have to send me the link. And I would like to do a podcast where we talk about the bands on the lineup for that show.
Yes, actually, well, that's it. There's bands that are completely, relevant to what
Current?
exactly, okay. What's current. And then you've got Ratt in there, and I'm like, okay, because let's just see, off the top, Avenged Sevenfold, Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson. I was about to freak you out, and I was like, okay, no, that can't be. I don't think it's. I was going to say Gwar, but I don't think so.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like their thing.
No, exactly. There's that's it. Like I said, Ratt, Black Dahlia Murder. Yeah, exactly.
Still a lot of current metal bands.
Oh yeah. Well, just from listening to the new that recent radio station that we've already done a podcast on, Mountain City Rock. All kinds of new music is coming out. Greta Van Fleet, which I think we've already talked about, and Inglorious, and In This Moment, and Black. I keep getting them mixed up because there are these three bands
There's Black Mountain something.
Yeah, well, that's exactly Black Cherries, Blackstone Cherry.
Blackstone Cherry, yes.
Blackstone Cherry. Then there's Stone Sour, and I'm trying to remember all of them, but they all sound awesome.
Yeah,
it's
they do.
Just well, which one is it that and I'm I don't remember.
We have a station here.
Yes.
That I think I'm going to send you the link to it. They're called Indie Rock Network. Or actually, Dome's on there. Dome get added to the playlist.
Sweet.
I'm gonna send it to you. It's a lot of indie stuff, but there's a lot of good indie bands. I don't know if it's all Canadian or not, but it's some good stuff on there. I was listening to, I play it fairly regularly, actually. It's good. I'll send you the link, and I'll pimp them.
Excellent. Yeah, exactly. Because indie, music doesn't get all the recognition because it doesn't have the major backing from a label. And it's, sometimes a lot of good bands go by the wayside because they don't have that notoriety, or they don't have the, not notoriety, but they don't have the vision, not the vision. What am I trying to say, Sean? I'm trying to the exposure.
Yeah, the exposure, yes.
And, which is unfortunate. So, a lot of bands just don't get the press and the, being put out there enough.
Yeah.
Because they're just small.
Exactly. So let's circle back around to what started the conversation.
Right. Oh, yes.
So the new Bulletboys album came out, and now I'll be honest, I have only listened through it twice.
Okay.
And a lot of it was distracted listening while other stuff was going on, kids running around the house and stuff. So do take a listen. I'm going to take a proper listen as well. I'd like to get a few spins in before I actually talk about it. But what I was going to say was, I don't like bands that aren't the original lineup too much.
Right.
I am in that camp. To me, it's not the same.
No.
If it's a major lineup change, just rename the band. I understand there's a brand. You can still go back and play the songs. I'm okay with that. But to me, it's not the same.
No, exactly. It's kind of like pieces just come together and they stick the label of, Bulletboys on it. And
with the Bulletboys, I got sucked in because the first 3 albums of Bulletboys, the first album was good. The second album was better in a different kind of way because the music writing had evolved. Right. And it really started falling out of hair metal, which is why I liked it. The third album was a masterpiece. But by that, they sold no albums. They sold not, that record did not sell at all. And it was phenomenal, and it was like, oh my God. I think I tried to get you to listen to it at some point. It's a masterpiece. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. The hard rock, the rocking songs are great, but they actually added ballads to the repertoire in this one that are make you cry. They're that good. Again, go take a listen. Third album's called Zaza.
Yes.
That still had all the original lineup, no changes. So years later, I was at HMV, and I saw a Bulletboys album. I'm like, what? What is this? I flipped around the back, and it was a picture of the band, and I thought it was them. All, the 4 originals. So I went and picked it up. Sight unseen, listed as an import. Yep. Because, they were dropped on the major label, and I saw the name, looked on the back, and like, well, they all look different, but, I recognized Mark Torian. He dyed his hair was back to its original color, which is black. I'm like, wait, that's Mark. And I recognized the bass player looked the same. I'm like, okay, well, this is them. So I went and picked it up, took it home. I'm like, the music style was so different. And then I looked at the credits. I'm like, wait a minute, there's only 2 original guys. So then I was like, fuck, I'm gonna just sell this. I was that mad. In later years, I've gone back and rediscovered it, and there's 2 tracks on that album that are so phenomenally good that I never ended up selling it because those 2 tracks were so solid. So then I was
you ended up keeping it.
I ended up keeping it, and it's still, those 2 songs are in my playlist. The whole album's not. It's okay.
Yeah. But those 2 really stand out.
Yeah, those 2 songs are just so good that it saved the album for me. But anyway, so years later, I'm like, they're still around, and I got tagged in a post on Facebook or something, and I'm like, they're still around, and I'm like, well, I don't know, and I'm like, this was during the days of kind of Napster and kind of stuff, and I'm like, okay. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll take a look and maybe I'll pick up the album. I'll see if I can find it. And I couldn't find it. You could only order it online. It was difficult. I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to spend like $35 to get this CD. So I just went and downloaded it. And it was the album called Sophie.
Oh,
which
yes.
had a picture of a pug on the front.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I listened, so I downloaded it, not legally, I apologize. And I'm like, oh my God, this is good. So I listened to it once, and it was good. I listened to it twice, it was better. I listened to it a third time, it was better. And it was an album that just progressively got better and better every listen. Mm-hmm. So I ended up buying it, spending
the $35 or whatever.
Yeah. I ordered it from their website stuff. And I'm like, man. So then I started doing a little research.
Okay.
And realized that I didn't know this, but Mark Torian or whatever is the lead guitar player now. And I'm like, lead guitar player? So then I went and did my research. And him and Mick Sweda, who was the original guitar player, they were actually in King Cobra together with Carmine Apice, or a PC, or whatever.
Out, a PC.
That's how they got their start, and it was the two of them. But Mark Torian, and they were the principal songwriters for King Cobra.
Wow.
So then I'm like, okay. So then I started looking, and it looked kind of like that Mark Torian was the lead songwriter for Bulletboys. So then the more I looked into it, and I don't know this for sure, and I can't prove it because they always share the writing royalties and stuff like that, it looks like. But it appears that Mark Torian was probably the principal songwriter for most of the Bulletboys stuff.
Wow.
Or a good chunk of it. So then I'm like, So based on the songwriting that I saw for, the post Bulletboys, like after the breakup and stuff, the songwriting was better.
Wow.
It was actually way better than the Bulletboys in their heyday. So then I started kind of going back and really listening to the old Bulletboys and going, wait a minute. The best songs have a particular sound to them, and the weaker songs have another different type of sound to them.
Yeah, you can differentiate. You can say, like, these have a particular sound to them, and these have a particular unique sound to them, like separate from the first
like
group.
even the guitar style of the songs was different in certain songs. And then I noticed Mark Torian had Torian, whatever, I don't know what to call him, has a particular style, and the post 3 albums. And I'm thinking, holy shit, he must have been writing the music too.
Oh, wow.
So then I really started connecting, going, holy shit. I think that he was like the principal songwriter.
Wow.
Or he wrote. So then I'm like, okay, you know what? Sophia was so freaking good. I'm on board. I'm on board. I'm totally on board. And he bought the Bulletboys name or whatever he did. Like there's no fighting or anything like that. He just retained the Bulletboys name. Because I think he might have been the impetus for creating the Bulletboys in the first place anyway. So I think he's always owned the name. That's what I think. So all the albums post the first 3 are the best Bulletboys albums in the repertoire. Better than the first 2 albums, almost or probably better than the third album. So it's like, damn it. This goes against my principles.
I know.
But all the albums post the original lineup are better.
Yeah,
Except for that one album that had only 2 good songs on it.
Right.
But I'm like, damn. So it's making me go back. And ever since Sophie, which came out like 10 years ago, or maybe even longer, I'm hardcore 100% Bulletboys fan.
Wow.
It is number 1 on my bullet list of bands to go see.
Okay.
And I'm actually like contemplating at some point doing a trip somewhere just to go see them.
Just to go see them. Wow. Have you even seen, because I mean, usually the summertime is the perfect I guess environment to have. Yeah.
So I'm thinking I don't know. We'll see. I've seen a lot of live videos online, and they had a live album that I have, and it's really good. Like live, they are very, very good. So I'm like, and now, so anyway, off to the last album that came out, Elefante,
right,
which was independently released. Like all their albums had been independently released after the first 3. the last album was so strong, it had some of the best reviews of all the albums that came out that year.
Wow.
They actually got signed to a label again.
Wow.
After all this time.
Huh.
So I've been excited for this to come out.
No kidding.
But this is the shortest time between albums they've had. It was less than a year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But they got signed, and it's like, okay, we got to put a record out. So they busted their ass. And every interview with Mark Torian, he's like, I'm so grateful for my fans. I'm so grateful, that people still listen to Bulletboys. I work my ass off to do everything I can for them. Mm-hmm. And it's, I don't know.
After all these years.
I'm back on board. Like, I've been back on board for, 10 years or so.
It's fun though. Like I guess you get to can you say rediscover?
Yeah, I would say rediscover, because I went back and listened to the old catalog again, which they weren't my favorite band from that whole era.
Right.
But
exactly.
I go back now and think they were probably better than a lot of the other bands.
And it kind of gives you, I guess, a second look, like it's kind of refreshing, like you're looking at it with new eyes.
Yeah. Well, I've arrived at my destination, my dear.
You have arrived, so I guess that means this is the end of the podcast.
Yes.
But
so I'm gonna try to share we have to find, because the Bulletboys reunited without the singer.
Oh, okay.
So there are just the three of them and then some other singer. And I heard the one song, and it was really good. It sounded like old school Bulletboys. So anyway, we can talk about that in the next one.
Yes, excellent. Because obviously we could talk ad nauseum about music.
Oh yeah.
Like people are like, why are we still listening to them? We're still talking.
Yep.
Anyways, but okay. So look, enjoy your holiday weekend.
You too.
And we shall catch you on the flip side.
See you on the flip side. All right.
Take care.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Yo.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good, and you?
Good.
Good.
So, I have a couple ideas for topics, unless you have something.
No, not a fan, no.
All right. So, I'm probably going to, okay, so the topic is, there's a lot of bands that are out there touring right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they have barely an original lineup involved.
Right.
So I wanted to get your take on bands that keep going after there's no original members left, or maybe just one. And should they keep going on under the same name, and does it matter? So case in point, like the big one that people are talking about right now, that everyone's weighing in on, is AC/DC. So there's just Angus Young right now.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah, I guess because, the drummer's gone to jail, the bass player passed away, I believe, and the singer, he can't sing anymore.
Yep.
So,
then, yeah, the rhythm guitar player, Malcolm Young, the guy who actually writes most of the songs, he passed away. He had, I wasn't sure if it was dementia or something like that.
Right.
He left, and then he died not that long after that.
Right.
And then the drummer got arrested. The bass player actually retired. And then the singer, he's got severe hearing loss problems. Like, you can't, the doctor said, you better not go do this again. You're going to lose your hearing permanently.
Right. So who actually, so you're saying that they're going to tour with AC/DC, going to tour again?
Well, no, the talk is, should they continue, put another album out, and go do a tour? Like, the talk is that Axl Rose would sing for them. I think they've got the Malcolm Young, they've got someone's son playing one of the instruments now.
Right.
Apparently it looks exactly the same. It might be Malcolm Young's son or cousin or nephew or something.
Right.
So there's really just Angus Young, like the guitar player in the schoolboy uniform. That's it.
Right. Which is pretty much the picture of pretty much all the albums that they have. He's got his little school uniform on for some reason.
Yeah, he's definitely the image of the band over anyone.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, for AC/DC, being that there's no one left except, you know, I would say, I mean, if the singer can, if it's just a matter of, I mean, you can't go out playing live because it's too frickin' loud, and you're going deaf and that's it. Or is it like he can't sing at all? Like, he's not allowed? Like, I don't know what the whole story is with his hearing, but...
Well, he wouldn't be recording the album.
Well, no, I'd say, like, if he's recording the album, he would probably be fine, because he can isolate whatever sounds he wants and how loud he wants them, you know, while he's singing. So, I mean, if they wanted to do a studio album, that's fine. But if they toured, then if he's not allowed to, then, then he's kind of out of the picture there. And if they have a stand-in, that'll all depend on how good the songs are and how well the replacement singer is going to sing them, and how popular the actual album is going to be. Because I mean, if the album's popular, okay, and you're getting one singer, and then when you go on tour, you're basically listening to me. In my opinion, it's like you went out to see a tribute band.
Yeah.
Because now all you're doing is it's the same music, because you can't really, I mean, you can tell Angus is playing, but it's not something that can't be imitated. I mean,
well, true.
I'm sure they'd be lining up the door. I mean, if there was a position to play guitar for AC/DC, I'm sure you're going to have, quite a few people that could probably pull it off, and then some. So that part is okay. Any band that you see that are redoing themselves, as long as they have the same singer, they're halfway there.
Yeah.
Because without the singer, that's an instrument with the voice that you have a hard time replicating, as well as, say,
it is the hardest thing to
Journey.
replicate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Journey. They've got the singer. I mean, he's not exactly bang on, but I mean, he could pass off no problem. You go to a concert, if you're waiting in the nosebleed section, who knows? You never tell a difference.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you would, but I mean, not to the point where, if someone was just trying to do it as a tribute thing, and it doesn't quite sound the same, unless they can find someone, with that exact same range, and it's probably someone that's not out in that has a deal at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be someone obscure that has the exact same voice. Otherwise, any other band you'd hear, you go, oh, that sounds exactly like him. But no, you'd have to find someone who's, say, in the scene and does that. Same with.
So is it tasteful to continue on, or is it even better? Like I guess some of the bands, I'm not going to say they're trying to hoodwink the fans, but they don't advertise it as anything other than, this is AC/DC. They're not saying, well, they don't make it well known that these are replacements in the band. Like Kiss, for example, they actually have, it's Gene and Paul, but the other two are dressing up as the original members. And it's almost like, hey, no, this is still the original Kiss. Like, it's kind of like I have an issue with the whole Kiss thing. If you didn't know, I do, because when the original two members of Kiss left, their replacements didn't dress the same. They actually had their own identity with different makeup, and it was a big thing. Like, hey, we've got two new people in the band. Blah, blah,
exactly.
blah.
So you get two new people, you have two new personas, they have their own identity, and that's
they
fine.
Advertised it was a big press release. Hey, we've done this, blah, 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 these are the guys, these are now the new guys. It's not like a big surprise or anything like that. like they actually went out of the way to promote it until recent years. Like they've actually just get two guys dressing up as Ace and Peter.
Well, that I don't really agree with.
Yeah.
Only because they've already gone the other route.
Yeah.
Why didn't they stick with that? I mean,
Well,
it's fine. Give these guys a different identity again. I mean, it just...
why not?
It adds a mysterious element to it where, like, oh, well, who's this? Because they have another persona and they have their own costume or whatever it is. I mean, the whole thing, it's all about entertainment, right?
Yeah.
So, and you know as well as I do with Gene and everything we've heard and whatnot, I mean, he's just a businessman. I don't know, you know, if you actually sat down with him and had a heart-to-heart, said, okay, look, is this about money or do you really enjoy the music? Like, I'm sure at one point it was all about the music, but I know the money part kicked in, and then from then on, it was probably that the whole way through.
Yeah, true.
But, I mean, just like any other band who comes out of the woodwork now, that just like TV shows are bringing back, all these things. Everyone's, I don't know what, they're running out of things to do. I don't know what the reason is, but they had so much success, they want to come out again. But it depends on the band's reason for coming back out again. Is it a monetary reason? Is it because people actually have been bugging them we want you guys, you know, to go on tour, or is it something that's self-proclaimed with themselves? Like, it all depends on what the reason is.
Yeah.
But for the fans too, depending on the bands and how they go about doing it, will probably depend on how they feel.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be a black and white thing. It'll just kind of be, you know, it's kind of depending on individual bands and how they, you know, and what they do and how you feel for each individual one.
Well said.
If that makes sense.
The one thing that I'm having trouble with, I guess, and Trace and I talked about this. I'll probably tag it on to this podcast, but the one thing I have trouble with is the whole. Well, the Kiss thing is like the big one for me. Kind of pisses me off a lot, but the other one is that I'm of two minds about, because I'm kind of like, well, it isn't the same lineup. Just call the band something else. It's like, oh yeah, but that way we're starting from scratch. It's like, well, yeah, but you are starting from scratch, you know, like, but the band that I have issue with is that I struggle with is Bulletboys, because three of the four members left.
Oh.
And it's just one guy left. Now, I still listen to the Bulletboys, and I actually find that their newer material has progressed and evolved from, you know, the first three albums that had the original members. And it's actually, in my humble opinion, I actually like it more. And I think that they carried the torch. I mean, it's just the singer, but the singer alleges that, I heard some different things today, but the singer alleges, it almost seems like he wrote, like, the best songs of the first three albums were written by the singer, because he's also a guitar player. He was just told by Ted Templeman, like the Van Halen guy,
right?
He did the Bulletboys, and it was almost like, okay, well, we need to have a guitar player who only plays guitar, and we need to have a singer who only sings. So they basically took the guitar away from the singer, and just, no, you got to be a front man. Like, you gotta, you know, kick it up a notch and be the front man. But he alleges, or you can tell when you listen to a Bulletboys song, it sounds like, oh, well, this sounds like the current stuff, and these other songs don't sound like the current stuff. So it almost seems like, okay, well, maybe the guitar player, the actual, like, lead guitar player in the band, was writing some of the songs, and maybe the singer was writing some of the other songs. You know, maybe there's some sort of division there.
Mm-hmm.
So the new, like, but the songs that I liked in the old Bulletboys sound more like the new songs of the Bulletboys, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm making the connection that, yeah, maybe it was the singer that actually wrote those songs, and maybe the strength of the Bulletboys back in the day was on his songs. Because I'll be honest, the old Bulletboys stuff, there's a lot of songs I'm like, I don't really like, you know, it's okay, but I don't really like it.
and the songs, but there was some songs of theirs that I really, really liked a lot, and there was some that I was like, I could have, I didn't care about.
Now, can you tell that it's him that wrote the song by the structure of the song, or by just the vocal?
No, the structure of the song. I mean the music. I don't mean the vocal at all. I just mean the music.
So the structure of the song, like the actual song itself, like how it was written.
Yeah. So
you could have no vocals in there, and you would know right away that's a Bulletboy. That's what I mean.
Exactly. Yeah. But the Bulletboys almost had a couple of different styles, I guess. Like within the songwriting itself, there was a couple of different styles, and I think that was the singer was writing songs because he was also a guitar player, and I think that the guitar player was writing songs.
Right.
And I think he sings also too. Like he sang a lot of background vocals and stuff. But I think the two of them were probably writing the music, but not together, just separately. They bring it to the band, and then the band, structures it together to give it that Bulletboys sound. But you can tell the songwriting style was different on certain tracks of the old stuff, and some of the new stuff sounds like some of the old Bulletboys tracks. So I'm guessing that there's some sort of, I'm like, oh, okay, well, my favorite songs are the ones that were written by the singer.
Right.
So I'm like, so then I was like, okay, well then I'm okay with it, because like the new Bulletboy stuff is so good, like it is so good, it's so amazing. So I've kind of had this little thing in my head that, okay, well it must, the singer must have, the stuff that he did in the band must have been like stuff that I, really gravitated towards. But now I just heard this interview today, and I watched a bunch of live footage today of the 3 remaining members of the Bulletboys have formed their own band.
Were they called Single Shot or something?
No, they're called. They're named after a Bulletboys. They're named after a Bulletboys song called "Lies, Deceit, and Treachery." So they do Bulletboy stuff, but they're also doing their own stuff. They don't have an album out yet, but I listened to it. I'm going, oh my god, maybe I'm completely and utterly wrong. Maybe the 3 surviving, maybe the guitar player actually wrote more of the material. And in the interviews I'm listening, is like, he actually did write a lot of the songs, and he might have actually written all of the songs.
Yeah, but how many of these songs that were just released were pre-written and just were never used on the last album? Because, I mean, when you're writing material, I mean, you usually get a bunch of stuff, and then some stuff will make it, some stuff won't.
Possible too.
Some stuff might end up 2 or 3 albums down the line. Like, you never know.
That's true. I never even thought of that. So now
if you look at it,
so
the credits. If you look at the credits, it should have his name if he did.
Yeah, I seem to think that the way they credited the songwriting was like it was a 4-way split, even though that wasn't actually true. But it was something that was done to. It was a management choice to give songwriting credit to all 4 members.
Right.
And there's some. I mean, it's a common management thing to keep everyone happy, so somebody doesn't quit.
Right.
But the inverse side of that is, if one person ends up doing all the writing, he's like, well, I'm the only one pulling my weight here. So anyway,
yeah, I mean that makes sense too. But
so I listened to the Bulletboys without the singer today. I watched a few things, and the one thing I forgot, because I haven't gone back and listened to those albums since this week. Like, I don't listen to the first 3 Bulletboys albums. I just don't.
Right.
I don't need to. Like, the new ones are so good. Or that was my opinion. So now it's like, shit, this old stuff maybe is better than I thought. So anyway, I heard an interview today with the guitar player, and he was doing a 30-year retrospective view of the first Bulletboys album. And all his assertions were the complete opposite of the singer, and I guess they don't get along at all. And it's kind of like, no, I did all the work, I did all the heavy lifting. So it's like, shit, like, I don't... But in the end, does it matter? Maybe I should just go and enjoy the album and enjoy what it is. But the singer owns the name. So he's continued on. And I mean, he's a pretty good guitar player. I guess, he's not a bad guitar player.
He's been playing since he was 6, as he says.
Right.
So, I don't know what to believe. I think I'm just going to like both bands and be done with it. But at least the original members, the 3 original members, called themselves something different. So when they write music, there is no confusion that, no, yes, we used to be in the Bulletboys, but, you know, this is what we call ourselves. And I think that's the more honest thing to do.
Right. They didn't go Velvet Revolver after Guns N' Roses statement. They didn't pick a similar type name.
Okay, that was the tactful way of doing it, what Velvet Revolver did. That was the tactful way.
Yeah, it's still kind of in the same realm. Guns, Revolver, you know, it's just kind of a play of words. But
yeah, but at the same time, it's, you know, it's saying, hey, we're not that same band. Yeah, we might have some of the same people, but we're not gonna, you know, people will know who we are, but we're not gonna pretend we're somebody that we're not. Like, I think that's the right way to go. What Axl did, Axl owned the name, and he continued going, and he did.
Oh, is that why he actually owned the name?
Oh, he owned the name, yeah. I think there was a big fight, and I think the other guys are like, you know, you can fucking have the name. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't really care. Like, it didn't matter to them. But I mean, they had all the money in the world. Like, they didn't really care. We're going to go do what we're going to do, and Slash could, you know, he could put 10 albums out and make no money, and it won't matter because he has all that money in the bank, right? So.
Right. You're doing it because of the music, not because of the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I will admit, though, the Guns N' Roses album that was eventually released, Chinese Democracy, is a masterpiece.
Right.
There's, you know, I know a lot of people made fun of it. It took, you know, 15 years to put out or whatever the deal was. But I thought it was brilliant. It was very, very good.
Yeah.
So
I can't remember if I've ever listened to it. I think I may have listened to the one song.
Oh, it's good, Todd. I can't say enough good things about it. I would say, in terms like Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, it's on par with those ones, and it probably exceeds. Some of the tracks on there are better than Illusions 1 and 2.
Right. Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
I know we may not have time for this, but just like, say, Sebastian Bach is playing at the Pyramid.
Yep.
Okay. Now he's with a different band. He's not with Skid Row anymore.
Yep.
What do you think about the solo artists going out on their own and just going out as their own name? Like when Plant went out and Bach went out, and all these bands, lead singers now gone on their own on solo careers without an actual band. Well, I mean, they have a band, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's not the band.
It's a different band.
It's not the band name. It's the actual artist, singer.
Okay, I have a problem with it. That being said, I love Sebastian Bach. I love his voice. All his albums are collaborations with other people, so he doesn't play guitar, as far as I know. So he cannot write songs on his own. He always has to work with somebody. Right. So, but calling it Sebastian Bach is fairly accurate because he's co-writing all these songs because he's writing the vocal and, you know, so to call it the Skid Rows or something, or the Skidded Rose, or to call it something else,
right?
I would rather that he have had a band that he keeps with and works with. I much prefer a band over a solo artist any day.
Yeah.
Like, why do you have to have a different guitar player all the time? Like, you know, like, but I mean, he wants to, like, I want to work with, like, he's like, I want to work with Steve Stevens. I really want to work with Steve Stevens, so I want to write some songs with him. Okay. Right. And then he's like, I really want to work with John 5. Okay, he's going to work with John 5. Then I really want to work with, so I mean, really.
Well, I mean, that's his prerogative too. I mean, he's obviously in it for the music and not for the money.
He's totally in it for the music, yeah.
Because, I mean, if he wanted to, but I know, I think he tried to get everything back. I think there was a documentary or something, and he was trying to get back in with Skid Row, and then the manager said, you know, that's, you know, I don't know if it was flogging a dead horse or they weren't relevant anymore or what the issue was, but I think he was trying to get back into the scene with them. Well, whether all this stuff has gone through them or if he's gone on his own, I don't know how that all worked, but
Yeah, that whole thing. Everyone wants, like, they've been offered like millions and millions of dollars to get together. And,
Skid Row?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I can see it. They were popular bands. There's no reason why they couldn't be.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone's growing up, families, kids. It's not like when you're 18 you can just pick up and go and do what you want anymore, right? Now you've got different priorities in life, and then that's when they start. Well, okay, if you can't make it, then they have to start looking for other people if they want to tour, and that's when the bands kind of get diluted.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, they all made their money too, so they all don't need to. So it's not a Sebastian Bach's a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, you can say they don't need money anymore, but I mean, you could win the lottery tomorrow, and by next year you're broke. So
True.
It depends on how they do their money.
Yeah, the Skid Row guys are not broke at all.
Yeah,
they've actually, they don't blow their money, and they've constantly toured and never stopped touring. So, they have money in the bank.
Right.
And
so now it's their lifestyle. It's like the Stones. It's like their lifestyle now. It's not.
Yeah. It's a lifestyle thing.
Their steel wheelchair tour. Their steel wheelchair.
They love touring. Sebastian Bach loves touring. Like
right.
They all love touring, and they're doing it for love. They're not doing it because they have to. That's for sure. But
and say, I mean, sorry, when you're writing music is fine. And when they're in the studio, it's fine. But when they go out on tour, I kind of understand a little bit of the mentality of why they go on tour. Because I mean, it's all about the fans, and that's what kind of brings you right up.
Yeah. Because
you get the people that are physically there watching. You can see all your people that are there. It's not just a numbers and saying, oh, your tune was played so many times or whatnot, or sold so many copies. These are actually your physical fans that are out there. And they're there to see you. So I mean, I can understand the the emotion or the adrenaline or whatever drives you to go and do that. But nowadays, the way things in the record industry and everything are sold, it almost sounds like the only way to actually make money is to actually tour.
Yeah. Oh, definitely nowadays it is. Yeah. So the interesting thing though with Skid Row is Sebastian Bach was never the original singer anyway. So I mean, as soon as he joined the band, then if we're saying it's not moral to call the band by the same name, then when Sebastian Bach joined, then they should have changed the name again. But it's just,
being the singer. But I mean, if you're say with Whitesnake with Vi and being Catholic, when you start switching guitar players too, I mean it's the same kind of. But you can kind of get away with it.
Yeah, you can get away with it more. But then the other thing too is, as we've been in the scene and we've seen a lot of bands play, like the one predominant thing that I continuously see is that, like, oh, this band's they're on their fourth drummer now, and this band's on their sixth bassist. So to maintain a relationship of 4 or 5 people together in the same band. Mm-hmm. Is virtually impossible. So if you had to rename the band every time somebody left,
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, did you hear such and such? Oh no. Oh, they used to be called this, or they used to be called that, or they used to be called
you'd never follow. Yeah, you could never follow a band. You'd never be able to.
Yeah, it's like back home. Edgar, Louis, you start going down, it's like a family tree of people in your family. It was the same thing with the band. It's, oh, you're with such and such, that used to be with such and such and such and such, and you kind of go down the line.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you did have, I mean, it would be funny if you actually had somebody that would actually go and say, okay, say the bands from the 80s, they would line them all up, okay, and the ones that are still relevant or still playing, you bring them down, okay, and now they're with this band, this band, this band. And then, you could make a family tree almost just with strictly bands alone.
Oh, God, yeah.
And that would be pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
What I was going to say was, I like the way that Ringo Starr does it. So he's like, okay, I used to be a Beatle. I'm not a Beatle anymore, but I'm still Ringo Starr. So when he puts a band together, he calls it the Ringo Starr All-Star Band.
And what he does is he brings every band that he's had, like he has a different band every year or two or whatever it is. They're all-star bands. So, 1 year you brought Burton Cummings on, and I don't know, like they're all like A-list musical celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's had Randy Bachman in the band. He's had Steve Winwood in the band. He's had Eric Clapton in the band. He's had, and every time he puts the band together, I don't think they release any music, but what they do is like, okay, well, we've got 4 or 5 different people in this band that were all in other bands before. Our entire set list is going to be the top 10 hits of all the people in the band. So, we're going to play Layla when Eric Clapton's in the band. We're going to play some Beatles songs for Ringo. We're going to play some Guess Who songs for the guys from the Guess Who that were in there,
Right.
Like, and that's kind of cool. Like, I like that. It's like, we're an all-star. What's this guy doing? We're an all-star band, and we're not hiding the fact that we're an all-star band. We're not calling ourselves Van Halen or Kiss, or it's like, hey, we've got, all these people.
Well, basically, you're a live radio station.
Yeah.
Because you're getting all these different. It's like when you play along with the radio. Oh, next song is from Led Zeppelin. Oh, next song is from Guns N' Roses. Oh, next song is from Warrant or whatever. You could play all the tunes like Ringo does with all these different. So Ringo's basically just playing with the radio.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
But having live people come and play. So that alone is pretty.
But
it's pretty good.
It's genius. Like in terms of marketing, that's genius.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't like Ringo Starr, you're like, but damn it, I like Clapton, or I like. But he's assembling people that might not play together. Like he might put
normally.
Like I don't know what the lineups of the bands have been. Like I honestly don't know, but he might have put Clapton together with like freaking Elton John. It's like, well, those two would never play together, but thanks to the grace of God and Ringo, we're getting these two to play together. So the ability to see these two jam on stage together, just because Ringo has a name, like that's great.
Yeah, they don't have to stick to one catalog either. Like they don't have to stick with all the songs that Ringo knows. Well, no, because all these other people are there. So that's what.
Like imagine if Kiss did that. Like, okay, we're gonna replace the drummer and the guitar player, and we're gonna bring in 2 other guys, and we're gonna play some Kiss songs, but they're gonna be done, Steve Vai style. Like, say they brought Steve Vai in, and I don't know, Matt Bissonette from like the David Lee Roth band. And we're gonna play some of their songs, but they're gonna play with us in the Kiss songs, and it'll have a different take, like that'd be freaking cool.
Yeah, they might have a hard time following some of these bigger guys like Vi or Malmsteen.
Yeah.
You get these guys that just kind of strum, and the other guys are just like lightning speed players. But
it'd be cool to see Steve Vai like do like Detroit Rock City or something,
Oh yeah.
But it's like the G3, right? The G3 is the same thing. It's Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, and another guy.
Yeah.
And they do their songs, and they do Steve Vai songs, and they do, Satriani songs. I mean, it's a much smaller scale than like what Ringo Starr is doing, but it's still kind of the same general idea. But they're not calling it. Yeah, they're not calling it the Steve Vai band or the Joe Satriani band. They're being honest. Like, this is what it is.
They're all the same caliber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That'd be pretty cool.
At the end of the day, I don't know. Like, so what's your thought? Is it okay to keep the band name, or should it? Or even better, should the band name be connected to the songwriters? For example,
well, I guess,
so
I guess it's kind of personal taste. I guess. I mean, if like when we talk about Journey, the way it is now, I'm good with it. Only because he sounds almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
But other bands, I don't know. I mean, it all depends. Like when you're saying, I personally, apparently, now this is what I've heard, but I haven't heard myself. When Axel is now with AC/DC, when they were doing the tour,
Yeah.
I heard that he actually did really well.
Oh, yeah.
And
I heard some of it, and it was like, oh, my God.
Right,
Like,
and I'm trying to picture
someone better to do it.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of his range.
Yeah.
And the way he sings, and for some reason, like just in my head, it doesn't seem to compute. But I'm sure if I heard him play with them,
be blown away.
I'm sure there's tons of it on YouTube now. And I'll probably have to listen to it. And
you'd be blown away. It actually sounds really freaking good.
Yeah, well, I'll have to give it a listen. But I guess it's individual. I mean, if you get like when Sharon was with Van Halen, that I don't know who thought of that or what the deal was, but that just did not. It just did not
work.
The styles did not work. I mean, they're okay on their own, but just
if
the styles together.
They were maybe not the right styles, like having Steve Vai play for Kiss or something. You know?
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. All right, this is good. I'm actually going to bookmark this with the one I did with Tracy, because this is a good continuity. So I'm actually home.
Okay.
And I am going to sign off here.
All right.
So
Sounds good.
See you on the flip side.
All right.
All right.
See ya. Okay.
Bye.